I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to do this episode. I've never not wanted to do an episode more than this episode.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
I
super
I get
upset.
the
I think
I
I'm
get
gonna
the
end up having
feeling.
a fight with you, and I don't
I was
like
about
doing that. And it's
I was
just
about to say I get the feeling like you're gonna get super spicy,
I'm gonna get
and
super spicy. I'm
and you
very
know
upset.
what? I just want it to be said now. No matter what is said, no matter what happens, I still love you.
Yeah, I right back at you. And it's what I hate about stuff like this is when like I know it's coming. I'm like I I don't know. I don't like being negative. Like I know it seems like I do, but I don't. I really don't like being negative. I don't like getting in fights with people. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I feel like this episode it's an inevitability.
At the same time, though, like I don't know. I feel like on one hand it's gonna get bad, but at the same time, like I don't think I'm more on your
Yeah.
side of the
Yeah.
fence than it may seem, but at
Yeah.
the same time, I think it's just because I tempered my expectations overall that I'm just kind of like, meh,
I
whatever,
think
it's all right.
I think that's the problem though. We'll get into it, but we'll get into it. Just
Yeah.
just remember saltines. Um okay. So
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
hello, my name is Zachariah. With Old Man Gaming, you have decided yet again to turn into a horrible gaming podcast. With me, as always, is
Neil, aka a holiday wizard.
Neil's carrying the torch of happiness today. I've had a long week and a long at the end of a long month, and I know what this episode is going to entail, and I'm just super depressed. So
Of course, Zach, it's our special holiday episode.
I know what better for a holiday episode than like a grumpy host and probably a big fight in it. But long before we get to that, of course, we've got to do some credits. If you're watching this on YouTube, you have noticed some fancy little graphics. Those are all provided by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. And then, of course, the theme song of this show, which you have heard at the beginning, was provided by my brother, Nick Van Sliders, the man who makes the music. He makes this. He makes the theme song for this and all of our shows here on OMG. So we thank him for that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our first segment, my favorite segment, and probably the only segment I'm going to take any joy in today, and that would be Fan Interaction, ladies and gentlemen. And Fan Interaction is where we talk to you guys. We read your comments on the YouTubes, in the Facebooks, and the Discords, and any place you decide to post it that we see it. We also use your comments to decide the Horrible Arena vote winners. We sometimes ask you guys questions. We just communicate with you on a lot of things. But before we get into it, we actually have 2 weeks worth of comments, and that would be
so much interaction.
that is so much interaction. That would be because we did the Horrible Game Awards last week, which was a huge success, Neil. Huge success.
Well, that's great to hear.
Yes. So if you guys watched it, thank you. If you didn't, please go check it out. As we, not just us, but our community basically decide our community's best games and favorite experiences of the year. It was a lot of fun. It was a monster to edit, so I put a lot of work into it. I really enjoyed it. But let's get into the fan interaction. So let's start it off with the fact that I got myself another win there, Neil.
Yeah.
We only got one vote. It was Kevin. He said, "I'm voting on the Horrible Arena this week." Smiley face. My vote goes to Zach.
Yeah, that is 3 weeks in a row, and I haven't even got a single vote on anything.
I'm excited. I'm excited about it because I'm gonna pitch my ass off for this Monopoly one tonight. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't know how mine's gonna go. It's a real coin flip.
You
Honestly,
gave me that. I really thought about it, and what I came up with. If you like Monopoly, I think you'll like mine. But we'll see. We'll see.
now I gotta say too, just as a little disclaimer with this, whenever I come up with my idea
Mm-hmm.
for whatever the arena is gonna be, I don't have anything in mind beforehand. So if you are ever lost like this one, I was just as lost as you.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So we blah. Sorry, brain's not working. That actually puts me 2 points away from you. So we have ourselves a contest again. And continuing on into the fan interaction comments, Kev Too Tall. I don't want 2077 to be bad, but at the same time, I would be kind of happy to see it suck. Only because I am sick of the hype. I would have a hearty laugh, then I would comfort my sad friends. I wouldn't take actual joy in it being bad. I'm interested in trying it out if it goes on sale. We're going to talk about that, Kev. I'm just going to move on off that quote because that's going to be obviously the topic of discussion today. So then Kev continues. Next round of the Horrible Arena, points are based off votes. Then after a set number of weeks, you see who the victor is. So 1 vote is 1 point. So his thing is, instead of us actually winning a week over each other, it would be we pitch, and however many votes we get is however many points we get, period. So instead of weeks where we tie, it would just be like neither one of us gained any votes that week, basically.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's a great idea. It does require more than Kev to vote every week. However,
exactly. Which we do get other people voting. Phil Billy votes regularly. The man who makes the music has been chiming in quite a bit lately, and of course Kayla has voted on her fair share of votes. But yeah, we will need more people to vote, I think. Kev Too Tall, I'm sorry I didn't vote. I meant to go back and do it. I was busy when I listened, so I couldn't live vote. I'm so sorry. Kev, you are a listener and a fan of the show. You do not have to apologize for not participating.
I mean, even you get a break sometime, my guy. I mean, it's literally, it's called Kev to Action for a reason.
It's not called Kev to Action. It's called Fan Interaction.
Are you sure about that? I don't know about that.
Oh, his head just exploded. Okay, so then Kev, then everybody dogpiled on me about computers. New GPUs are 18 months to 2 years. Not quite sure what he meant by that, whether it's time to get them or time they last. I'm pretty sure they last longer than that. But then Kev Too Tall said 8 to 10. No GPU is going to game at an acceptable level for 15 years. I did say 15 years. I'm going to explain myself, but I want to get through all of the comments before I do. Kev Too Tall, and then Phil Billy responded to Kev Too Tall and said, read what I put onto the podcast and Discord yesterday, laugh out loud, literally all the same as what you're saying, great minds think alike. And to go ahead and comment on that, just to move right into that, what he said on Discord was this. Radeon 6900 XT is hands down the best GPU on the market right now. Its MSRP is $999. Yes, it is out of stock. It's brand new. But it is absolutely insane for anyone to say that that you need that high end of a card. I also feel that you should not buy the new cards until they are about 6 months old, as there will be tons of BIOS updates by then. Plus, the price will go down when more companies get the rights to produce these cards. Parentheses, Gigabyte, MSI, Sapphire, etc. That being said, to say you're good for 15 years may be a little bit of a stretch. I would say 8 to 10. However, a mid to upper range PC that can play every title out and coming out with good fidelity and a higher FPS than any of the new console gens are capable of, and 2.5 terabyte of storage can be built for $850 to $900, not including peripherals. If you don't believe me, send me the money when stock comes back. back, it is Christmas in a pandemic year, and I'll build it for you, LOL. Phil, I think you need to start a PC building business, first of all. But second of all, I do want to explain to you guys, you're right, the 15 years is probably a little bit of a stretch, but my mindset and thinking is I truly believe that we're at a tipping point for actual, like, for how good things can become. And I think that the distance between when you need a new thing is going to now start to gradually increase, because we're at 4K. 8K is really the only thing after this, and that's pretty far off. And even if it isn't, it's not going to be that big of a deal in the gaming space. So I believe that, like, while the technology itself will get smaller, more compact, that sort of thing, more efficient, I do believe that the cards coming out right now will last longer than the cards come out the previous generation. 15 years is probably a bit of a stretch, but still, like, when we first started doing PC gaming, like 10 years ago, you know, the amount was like 6 years. Now it's up to 8 to 10. I think in a few years it's going to be up to 12, and that's going to continue to go up, which will continue to increase the value of your PC builds. So that was my process there. You guys are right, of course, but you guys are better at PC than me. But that's just my thought process thinking there.
Yeah, I think I think it really does come down to what exactly you want out of your PC gaming experience. So, like, my own line of thinking for me, like, what I'm looking at, like the graphics cards and everything out there right now, the 6900 XT it's $1,000, but I mean, it does look good. But the second you turn ray tracing on, from what I understand, the frame rate tanks. But at the same time, I don't necessarily care about ray tracing. Right. So, like, something like that is cool for me. That's part of the reason why I've been looking at those Radeon graphics cards. But again, some people want that. Some people want 4K, 60 frames a second, ray tracing, this, that, and the other thing for all the stuff that they want. But there's other people who are cool with, 4K upscaling, running at 1440 checkerboard.
Well, and there is that thought process too with PC. It depends on what you're willing to live with and what you want. I think that, like I mean, personally, and I've said this repeatedly, I do not see a difference between 4K and 1080p. I don't think I ever will. Maybe my eyes just aren't capable of it, but one just looks kind of brighter to me. So, and I can't imagine seeing a difference between 4K and 8K. Like, it's at this point where I think the graphical fidelity is going to be as good as it is going to be for a very long time. So, if you're happy with a 1080p, you're going to be happy with your PC build for some time. Like,
for a very long time.
Yeah, because the games coming out, you can just tune them down to what you want them to be, and they'll run. They'll run just fine, and they'll look just fine for you. And, like, I mean, for me, like, that's all I need. That's all I want. I don't really want the 4K. I don't really see the difference in the 4K. And so, like, my stuff is going to last longer than somebody who cares about that stuff. Does that make sense? So,
yeah.
I think there's that factored in too. Of course, I'm going to say I probably misspoke. I'm pretty sure my stuff won't last for 15 years. Or I'm pretty sure that the 6900 won't last for 15 years. But still, I think it's going to last longer than the generation we're at now, because I think we're at the tail end of this graphical generation, which is going to mean a longer lifespan for them on a whole. But again, you guys are probably right. I am not as good a PC guy as you guys are. Not yet, anyway. I am learning, but not yet. So, moving on to the Horrible Game Awards comments. We only got 2 of them, both Kev Too Tall. And I got to say, I don't understand these ones. The first one was, I loved the announcement for Best Developer. Now I'm patiently waiting for the announcement of Best Developer 2020 like I was promised on screen. And I'm confused by this because I said we did the Best Developer. It was there. I don't want to say who the winner is because I don't want to spoil it, but if you haven't seen it, but that was what that award was, Kev. I'm very confused. Very confused. The other thing you said is, I get an award, and it's relegated to the credits. Damn it, Kev. You weren't on the show. We mentioned you anyway, just because of how big a fan you are, and you got to call us out like that's a bad thing. I'm like, you're just not happy with anything, are you? Jesus.
He is the generator of our post-show content. So,
I mean, I still gave you a credit, man. What you want? What you want, baby?
payroll.
Payroll, right. Yeah, no. I don't. Until I get payroll, I'm not going to give everybody
I was about to say,
payroll.
I want payroll.
Right. Right. So I think that does it for Fanteraction, unless I'm missing something.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, in that case, let's go ahead and move on to the bulk of this podcast, which is going to not be fun.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, everybody, that brings us to our first talking point, and I am going to give the lead on this talking point to my esteemed co-host, Neil. But before I do, Neil, I want to make an agreement on this, because we know this is going to be about Cyberpunk. I want this to be it. I don't want this to dominate any more of our podcast going forward. We can have it in odds and ends and mention it here and there, but I don't want any more Cyberpunk-related talking points. I want this to be the big finale as far as Cyberpunk coverage goes on this podcast. Do you agree with that, sir?
Well, it's a good thing you definitely hammered home the podcast part of it, because that's my terrible talk. So
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I just don't want to keep fighting about this one on into infinitum. I'm so sick of the hype and everything about this game already that I just want to be done. So I would like to lay down a treatise. Like, we do this talking point, this terrible talking point that I don't want to deal with, and then we just move on.
Well, then let's just go back to console prices.
All right,
Anyways.
go ahead, take the lead. You son
So, I mean, the only reason I really wanted to take the lead on this is I just wanted to open it with about that Dick and Balls game. About that there Dick and Balls game. Okay, so...
Oh, man, I got so much to say about this.
All right, so here's the thing. Like, Zach and I have already kind of discussed this
A little bit.
a little bit, and we definitely saved the bulk of it. But he and I are this weird Venn diagram of agreeing on stuff, but we're also in separate realms on certain things.
Yeah, it's very strange.
So, I mean, this is either going to be a bloodbath and it's going to be the last podcast ever, or
well,
it's going to be...
We already agreed off air that it wouldn't be the last
no,
podcast.
Yeah,
ever,
no,
no
we
matter what
already
happens.
we already agreed that no matter what is said, it's all good.
You know, I mean, before we get into it, I have a hard time. Like, I get, like, you're there and I'm talking to you, and I have so much rage about this that, like, it's not even that, like, I'm upset with you. It's that I'm upset with the situation, and you're the only person that I can talk to. You know what I mean? Like, you're the person on the other end. Like,
the verbal punching bag, as it were.
like, I don't
Okay.
mean it that way. It's just like you get worked up on one thing, and then you're just
Yeah.
like pissed. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Okay.
it's like
so-
Marvel Civil War. They didn't want to fight each other, but they couldn't fight bad guys. Like,
Right. While I don't agree with a lot of how this game has been handled from start to finish, and as buggy as it is, it has received some updates, but like I hit 19 hours today that I have in the game already.
okay.
And that's a lot for me. Usually, I mean, outside of something that I'm clamoring for otherwise, like that's a solid chunk of my time. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and as they've patched it, it's gotten better. But the state that this game was launched in, especially the PS4 and Xbox One versions, oh my Christ. I'm sure you've seen it already, but there's talk of class action lawsuits now.
Mm-hmm.
because the investors claim that they basically overinflated and talked this game up to basically shoot the price of their stock up, and it has done the complete opposite. I don't
I'm really
know. I
purposely
feel like
not talking until you because I'm gonna explode. So I'm purposely waiting till you're done. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, no, I was actually gonna say it's like I don't know, like because me talking about it on my own. We had talked about this. I don't think it came up in the last podcast, but I tried to keep myself as grounded and leveled with this game as humanly possible. And I think that helped me in the long run because it just plays like any other buggy game that's out there for me. So I wasn't expecting the moon and the stars in the sky when this thing came out. I was just expecting a big open world RPG, Skyrim with guns, as I said to you the other day.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like myself, I got what I was expecting from it.
Okay.
So no, go ahead.
How dare you fucking compare this to Skyrim? And that is what I was going to say to you. How dare you compare this piece of shit to one of the greatest games ever made, and definitely the greatest game made in the last 10 fucking years. Skyrim is an entire world with just loads of stuff to do, true romance angles, true constant developing storylines. This is a fucking city with 4 this is nothing. This is nothing compared to Skyrim. It doesn't even touch Skyrim. It's not even in the ballpark of Skyrim. It is living across the street 3 blocks away in a fucking tenement building, wishing it had enough money to get into the fucking stadium that Skyrim plays in.
Oh my.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly upset. Okay, so first of all, I do want to say I am not upset with you or anybody that is playing this game and enjoying it. Okay? If you are enjoying a game, play the game and enjoy it. That is not my problem here. And my problem isn't even the game necessarily. My problem is the fact that I am so fucking sick and goddamn tired of being lied to by the game industry that we put so much into. We put so much work into it. We put money into it. We put time into it. And they just keep fucking lying to this. And as far as class action lawsuits, I hope the world makes an example out of CD Projekt Red. I hope there is no CD Projekt Red 2 years from now. And I'm sorry to say that, but I'm done. Everybody involved with this company lied to everyone on a regular basis, ongoing. And that, I'm just so done with that. I'm so done with that. I'm so done with there not being any check or balance for them either. And that's why I do want them to burn, because nobody ever seems to go down for it. That's the thing. Like, Anthem does it, EA's still around. You know, like, BioWare does it, BioWare's still, like, nobody burns for this. And God damn it, somebody needs to burn for this. Like, somebody needs to burn for 8 fucking years of waiting, 8 fucking years of hype. And no, I didn't think it was going to be what they promised it to be, but it certainly should have been better than a run-of-the-mill Ubisoft game, which that's what this is, man. That's what this is.
I'm so glad that you brought up other developers and other games that have come before us.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be a point that I bring up yet again. My next terrible talk, which I'm in the process of finishing up right now.
I like
actually.
how you took that rage and turned it into a plug. Bravo. You weathered the storm and then was like, so watch my terrible talk when it comes out in 2 weeks.
And back bends. Well, you know what? While I'm plugging shit, you did a review of it too.
You Matrix Neo'd around that shit. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, in regard to your first point about the Skyrim and everything like that, like, I get where you're coming from with that, but while it's just one city as opposed to an entire, like, country, basically, comparing the two, the size is just as big. I mean,
it's nowhere near as big.
Oh,
you're out of your mind if you think this map is anywhere near what Skyrim was.
It's taken me like 15-20 minutes to run across 2 of the of the districts that exist in the
That's
city.
just because
but
it's more condensed. Skyrim had more open ground. That's the only difference. And Skyrim had. I don't want to get into. I don't want this entire debate to be about why Skyrim is a way better game. Than this.
But like that was what whenever I had said that to you, Skyrim with guns, it's like essentially taking it as an open world RPG.
Okay.
But the focus is on shooting instead of swords and shit like that.
And there are aspects of this that are good, but I'm going to say right now, even on the PC side, anybody who is asking for a refund should get one. Period. Because we've been so detrimentally lied to. And on that subject, they did announce that they're going to do refunds out of their own pocket because I asked for one. Steam will not give me one because I have 7.5 hours in it and they have a 2-hour limit on it, which is a whole side rant I'd love to get into at some point, just because in the world that we live in, what AAA game could you know that you don't like within 2 hours of play? But
to go into that little side rant just briefly, they did change that because I think it used to be it was like 5 or 10 hours before, but what people were doing were going through beating entire games in that time frame and then asking for a refund for it.
I think they need to have it relative to the game. You know what I mean? Because if the game is a fucking 200-hour game, you know, like I should get more than 2 hours to figure out if I like the game or not. But aside from that, that's a whole separate rant. Still, they have said that they'll give me one, so I contacted the help me get refunds at cdprojectred.com. I gave them the entire spiel. I told them every bug I encountered, every reason I should get my money back, which included the fact that they lied to us. I put it in there in the email. So we shall see. I will give them points if they actually give me a refund out of this. I will give them a couple of points out of it. But I haven't actually gotten a response email in 2 days, so we'll see.
Yeah. But to go back to the original point that was made when you had said about other developers, this is one thing that you and I are going to be straight up and down on the same page with. This is, again, like we're already hitting on all the beats that I brought up in my video, but that I'm going to bring up in my video. But this is one of them is all these other live service games and other games that have come out in the past years that have come out as just broken, buggy messes that are just like, they promise us the sky and then it's just like nothing. Anthem, No Man's Sky, while they did turn it around, Avengers, stuff like that. Like, I put this firmly in that category because it's just been like it's just been the same stuff. Oh, we're gonna do all these things. We've been working on it for so long. It's gonna be so good, great. You just can't wait to see all the things that you're gonna do in this game. And they built the hype over time, you know, and just kept feeding into it. And that's I even went back through and listened to our previous episode when we talked about this before it came out, and a lot of the stuff has held true. Is there are some people who are playing it and are enjoying it for what it is, me myself among them,
right? But
I mean, there are others who do not get that luxury and do not get what they paid for. I mean, if nobody's seen it yet, go out and just look at the bugs in general, but the stark contrast between the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions, they should have canceled those outright. And for them to say, oh, well, we didn't know that they were that bad. No. Nope. There's absolutely zero way that they could have not known. They knew that those were that bad. Right. And it just feeds into this patch culture that we have of, well, just put it out. We'll fix it later. And it's finally, you know, something colossal has happened in this regard. And I do wonder if CD Projekt Red is at least going to be the first developer made an example of for putting out a broken, buggy piece of crap.
They're in a lot of trouble right now. However, they're still getting Game Award nominations. They got a Game Award nomination through IGN. Game of the Year award nomination. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, what bothered me so much about that too is you railed against this the minute it came out. You're like, well, they never gave us the footage of the console, and then they did all these specials on how it's buggy and crappy, and then you're going to nominate it. That's insane to me. But that's a whole nother rant. I think that there is some difference between this and some other games too. Like Marvel's Avengers is a perfect example to compare this to, because and why this is so much worse. And the reason is Marvel's Avengers, personally, if you got Marvel's Avengers on PC and you got I got them both. I got Cyberpunk and I got Marvel's Avengers on PC. Marvel's Avengers, I did not ask for a refund, but I would say specifically that it is a inferior game to this on PC. Okay, even with the things that I don't like about Cyberpunk, I would say Cyberpunk is a better game just from playing them both. Here's the reason, though, that I didn't ask for a refund for Marvel's Avengers. I played the beta. I didn't get anything I didn't know I was getting. They allowed reviews on all three
platforms.
Thank you. Brain, no worky. When I get mad, I just forget words. And all I can, slowly words go out and just the word fuck gets replaced in there. And then
I know the feeling all too well.
It's just terrible because then I can't articulate. All I want to do is just scream fuck into the mic as loud as I can. But they made all platform reviews available days prior to the actual release date. They released a beta. You and I we played it. You were nervous about it. I even said that I had some reservations about how great it was going to be. I never felt like I got lied to on that game. I felt like it was an inferior game and they put out a crappy game, and that is something they should be punished for, but they were, because they didn't make enough money, Yeah, I feel like Cyberpunk has been fucking lying to us for fucking 7 years, and they did it so sadistically that I really think they need to. I don't care how much they go on the internet and tell us we can have refunds. They had 8 million pre-orders. 8 million pre-orders went through. That should have never happened. These people did not get a chance to cancel their pre-orders. Instead, you're promising refunds to try and be the good guy in an ecosystem that is absolutely nearly impossible to get refunds from. Well, you could accidentally go over the 2-hour limit on Steam just trying to get around one of the bugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was going to say too, there's been so many things, just the cascade of crap that keeps falling down from everything surrounding the game.
Yeah.
Even if you remove your feelings about the game from the equation, CD Projekt Red, they said that they're offering refunds out of pocket. From what I understand, that's only good through tomorrow. Well, the 21st.
Right.
In case, depending on when you're listening to this.
Right.
The company has lost, apparently, in total, $1 billion between refunds and stock prices dropping for the company in general.
Yeah.
There's the class action lawsuits now. There's a new bug out there that scared the crap out of me, but apparently it's only relegated to the PC version.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That kills saves.
Yeah, if your save file goes above 8 meg, that it can be fatally corrupted and unrecoverable. Right. And I'm pretty sure it is just PC also, because I checked on the PS5 today and my save, just a base save, no matter what, is 13 megabytes. So, then.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. It's one more thing, because I've been taking notes on all this stuff too. Is Adam Badowski has been criticized for liking people's tweets for bashing Sony for removing Cyberpunk. So even though they're yeah, you guys definitely need to go ahead and get your money back, this, that, and the other thing, he's kind of pouting like a child anytime somebody goes and says, oh yeah, well that was dumb and stupid that they did that. They should just let it be. And it's I understand that they want to have the opportunity to stand by their product, but that's not what's in question here. Right. What's in question is what was initially released.
Right.
Again, the bugs that I experienced, I mean, there were some game breaky bugs. The one that you had talked about the guy in the elevator on the heist.
Mm-hmm.
Mine did some craziness. Dude kept flying in a circle, and I couldn't catch him. I had to like shoot him when he just appeared in the elevator for like a half a second and flew back around.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that, like I don't get bent out of shape about. What I get bent out of shape about is when my install errored out an hour into install. I get bent out of shape when I get soft locked into menus twice because the menus didn't want to load and it froze the whole system.
Right.
I get bent out of shape about progress breaking stuff.
Right.
And if it was like one single instance, like, okay, it does a good job with checkpointing and saves and stuff like that, so you don't lose too much when stuff like that happens. But when you have to physically go and like shut your whole console down to get out of the game, like that's the sort of stuff that I kind of get bent out of shape.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say the two bugs in which people got locked in places or locked out of places, the checkpoint save system screwed me because it saved the bug. So like when I would reload it, when I would reload the closest thing to it, it didn't fix it. It just reloaded it with the bug. So I had to go back like multiple checkpoints. So like that hotel scene, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
You just spoke of it. The first time I got to it, I killed that guy, and the minute he died, he teleported out of the elevator and fell out, and I couldn't get the card. The checkpoint saved it with him dead and out the elevator. So I would go back to the checkpoint, and he was just dead and gone. So I had to go back to the previous checkpoint, which was the beginning of the hotel fight scene. So I had to do that entire... It's like a 30, 40-minute segment. I had to do that entire segment again. And then when I got there the second time, it almost happened a second time. The first time it happened with Jackie. I think I told you about this. You have this warehouse gunfight, which might not get a gunfight, but it ended up turning into a gunfight in mine. So you have to fight your way out of this warehouse.
Yeah.
So when you get out of the warehouse, though, these corpo guys land. And you talk to the corpo guys, then they lock down the warehouse to process the crime scene, and then you're supposed to talk to Jackie. Jackie somehow got clip stuck in the warehouse. So they locked down the warehouse after I talked to him. I can't get to Jackie. I could literally see him in the warehouse behind the dude. Dude wouldn't let me in. And to resave that, like the checkpoint was the same thing. It was like right after she had talked to me and he was still stuck in the warehouse. So I had to go back all the way to the beginning of the warehouse gunfight. Like both of those bugs cost me 30 minutes to an hour of playtime.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that pissed me off. There were some like small minor bugs that I didn't mind so much, but the bugs then stack on to little shit that you see that would have been very easy for them to do to make the experience more of what they promised, and they didn't do it. There was a scene in which I did a side mission for this dude. I had been doing a ton of side missions for the Tiger Claws. I did a side mission for this guy where I had to go get this dude to save him. And you end up in this scene where once you break him out, behind you is just an army of Tiger Claws that you have to shoot your way out of. There's no way around it. You can't stealth through that scene. You literally have to shoot everybody there, which already, where's the player choice in that? But on top of that, how easy would it have been to just allow you to call the fixer that you've been working for with the Tiger Claws and turn this guy over to them? It would have been actually easier. It would have taken less programming. So, like, it was stuff like that like, you tack that on to the bugs. You tack on the fact that, like, there is no police chase AI in this game. Like, none. That, like, half of the civilians don't even act like normal people would. Like, they're supposed to be building this amazingly immersive game, and they don't even get the little things right. They don't even get the little things even close to right. You don't even, like, it's not even like you see what they were going for and there's a bug or something. This isn't that great a game. I mean, there are great moments of player choice in this. I'm not going to lie. There are. And I've said that. But those moments pale in comparison to what they promised us we could do in this.
Yeah. So
and that I think that's the problem that's my problem, is not necessarily the game itself. The problem is how badly we were lied to on this. How sadistic it was for them to hide the knowledge of the console versions. Like, the same thing goes for Anthem. I played the beta. I was worried about the beta. I still bought the game because I had fun with the game. But there was no part of Anthem that I was playing and said they ripped me off. Like, this was the game. I think it got a 5 on IGN, and they reviewed it on all platforms. Like, there was no sadisticness in this. When they released this, they kept the console version away. They gave it to IGN early. They wouldn't let them show any of the bugs. Like, it was a sadistic hiding of the truth.
Yeah, and I will agree with some of that stuff, but like the things that I'm enjoying of this game, though, like, again, like, I tempered my expectations, so I haven't really been disappointed.
That's the problem, though. That is one of the things that I want to say. I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but you tempered your expectations. Everybody tempers their expectations, and I see everybody online making excuses for them. Whenever I start insulting this company, whenever I start bad-mouthing them, like, oh, yeah, well, I think they got caught up with the next gen. Or, oh, yeah, it was the execs that kind of pushed them into this. Or, oh, yeah, they didn't delay long enough. Or, oh, yeah, they had to cut some stuff. I am so sick and tired of the consumers like you who have spent your hard fucking earned money on these games making excuses for $1 million fucking executives who lied, cheated, and stole their way to the money that they have. On this, they sold us a fucking 8-year bill of goods that was bullshit, and somehow they convinced half the consumers to be like, it's still okay. And like, yeah, I'm not, and don't get me wrong, again, I'm not saying you don't have the right to have fun with this game and you don't have the right to enjoy this game. You totally do. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad that there are people out there enjoying it. That does not mean these fuckers should not burn at the goddamn stake, every last one of them, for this.
My line of thinking with this is there's two sides of the situation as a whole. There is what the actual end result product is and everything that has been led up to it. And while you can't separate those two things and make them mutually exclusive, you can still, like, that's how I'm looking at it. Like, I see the corporate bullshit. I see everything, the what they pulled, what they promised, the shady stuff that they've done in regards to not letting people, basically see how the game functioned. In some cases, straight up outright lying to how these versions of the game run. So, I mean, there's that aspect of it, and that all is completely unforgivable. And I don't think that just because I am enjoying the game, that gives the company as a whole, what they have done, a pass. That being said, like, there is something to be said for the game as it is. It's not this revolutionary piece of media art, whatever, because of all of the stuff that has come out around it and how the game functions as a whole sometimes. But like, it's hard to articulate what I'm trying to say.
I kind of see where you're going with this. I understand what you're saying.
I am looking, when I'm playing the game and experiencing the game, I mean, I'm not playing the game and like the whole time like, wow, this could have, they could have done this and they could have did that and this, that, and the other thing. The second they ship that disc and I get it and put it into my console, it is what it is. And I have to take it for what it is. Even though it is mired in all of this bullshit, there's nothing that I myself as a human being individual can do about it. So only thing I can do is enjoy it for what it is when I have it.
I'm with you on that, and I kind of I understand that thought process, and I don't have a problem with that thought process, but I do have a slight problem with the fact that if you don't enjoy it, they've made it incredibly hard for you to get your stuff back, your money back. There's no eject button, and there's no, like, obviously they're getting hurt right now, which I think is good, but up until now, there really hasn't been a way for people to say, you know, this isn't what you promised me. There's been no way in the games industry to hold people to their word, basically, and that's something that's really, really bothering me from all this mess. Is I really feel like this game has been 8 years in the making. 8 years in the making, and the stuff that they have promised, I would say 30% of it made it into this game, and that bothers me, that they can just go out there, say whatever they want, and I'm not disagreeing with you. Like, the game, I have to look at it. I look at it a little bit more reviewy. Just I do because I review the games, you know. So like when I'm playing a game, I have to look at it like this is what it's supposed to be compared to what it actually is. I can't just play it for exactly what it is. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. And there's just too many moments in this where it's like, man, this isn't what you promised us. This isn't the product that you have been selling us on for 8 years. It's not even close. Like,
yeah.
Even if this game worked perfectly, I don't think this game is what they have been selling us through the Night City episodes, through the years and years of hype. This is not what they were selling us. This is not what they promised us, and that's why I feel like they should burn. I'm not even saying, like, I think, great. I like that you like the game. I like that you're playing the game. I don't want anybody who likes this game to stop playing it. I want everybody to be as upset with the fact that the people behind the game lied to you so hard. And that is something that's bothering. That's why I'm so upset about this. And I think if they hadn't done that, if they hadn't hyped it as much as they did in this release, I wouldn't be anywhere near as mad. I might even like this game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and
they just set us up so heavy. You know, I know I was eating up a lot of airtime there. I'm sorry, but they just set us up so much. How can you not expect to be let down when it's not anywhere near the expectations?
And to piggyback off of what you said just now too, is I think that Cyberpunk is not like a shining example of like industry BS and everything like that. I think that it is the straw that broke the camel's back because of the amount of time that it's taken. Because like you said, until this point, once you buy something digitally,
right,
like that's it. Because
right,
like you don't even have any ownership to anything but a license.
Right.
If you buy a game brand new, unless you literally don't open it at all, the only place for you to take it is GameStop to trade in for store credit,
right,
or resell to somebody else who wants to buy it.
Right.
So it is just magnifying all of these issues, which, while again, I'm not trying to slough off to the side everything that is surrounding this game,
No, I get what you're
but
saying.
I think it amplifies the situation as a whole.
I personally think this is, I mean, I will disagree with you on the fact that I think this is the largest systematic lie that we have ever, as a consumer, received. I think that they kept so much from us and told us so much that wasn't in this game. Whereas, yeah, other games have sold us crappy games, but everybody had concerned about them ahead of time. That does not excuse them. I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying if I were to compare all of the crappy games or the crappy things that have happened to us over the last 10 years as gamers, this would be, in my opinion, the biggest bold-faced lie an industry has told us. I just do. I think it is. I don't think it's the straw that broke the camel's back. I think it's the 40-ton anvil that broke the camel's back. I think there was a lot of straw in there to start with, but I think that this was a sadistic and downright dishonest attack on consumers as a whole. That's how I'm going to say it. That's how I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna stick to it. I'm not even remotely apologize for it. And the stuff that they are doing to make it better pales in comparison to what they did to us to start with to make the mess in the first place. And I will say that the outrage that they're getting, I don't think they expected is the thing. I think that they expected to get away with this more than they did.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I think that they thought that they were going to be able to just cruise by on the hype that had been created.
Yeah.
But like they not to again get too much into what I'm going to be going into in the video, but I mean, people had asked within the development team and had said, like, we need to delay this again. There's no way that this is going to be, this isn't going to be up to par, which first shows the fact that they were very much lying about the fact that, we didn't know it was that bad.
Right.
But also the fact too that apparently back in January, when they said that the game was complete and just needed polish, it was playable start to finish, on an investor call, an employee said, "We told you that's not true. Right. We told you that's not a thing." And you just went out and just said it. And they just kind of like, "Oh, well, we'll take responsibility for that." Yep. And like, that's it. Like, well, I mean, I think you guys are taking responsibility for it now because you didn't take responsibility in your job to make sure that the game was complete and up to your standards. Right. Because CD Projekt Red has said before, well, we have high standards. We'll release it when we release it. Witcher 3, they delayed a bajillion times also for like long period of time. That is every time they delayed it.
I do want to say again, Witcher 3 was nowhere near the level of hype that this had. I think Witcher 3 is a great game. It is absolutely a great game. I'm not taking anything away from it, but if you compare the two, the hype level of Witcher was nowhere near this, and the quality of Witcher was, I would say, 10 times what this is. So, like, that has to be considered as well. Like that's the lie to me. Like, it's everything you just said. Like, that's the lie. Yeah. Like, they have been telling us this game is almost done for almost 2 years, and then they rush it out, and it's not even in the. I don't know. I feel like we're gonna start looping here soon.
Yeah. Well, I think we should probably move on as it is, anyways, because I think, like you said, we're gonna start going back to the same wells over and over again.
I think it was a good talking point. I think on a lot of aspects we're in the same court. I think either way, I think companies, there needs to be a check and balance system. There is a corrupt review system. There is no real check and balance, and hopefully this mess starts to get us in the right headspace for checks and balances to these companies, because I tell you, Neil, I'm just so tired of being lied to.
You know what? I actually just had an idea. You know what they can do?
What?
Give the ESRB a new part of their job.
Yeah.
Whenever the game, whenever they're like, this game is ready, it is finished, and they can go submit it to the ESRB, and it gets like a pseudo review sort of thing, but only on the grounds of functionality and like how it works.
Yep.
They give it a pass or fail, but if the company still wants to go ahead and release it as it is, it needs to be recorded somewhere that the ESRB failed it.
Right.
Because at that point, then it's very much like, okay, well, they know what they're doing. This is intentional.
And there was so many ways around this as well. Like,
there's a really easy one. You know what? You know what the easy one was?
I know what I'm about to say, but I'd like to hear what you want to say.
Take a guess. Delay it.
Oh, fuck delay.
I know.
Put it out as a beta. If you really want to make money out of it, put it out as a beta, and then everybody would have still spent the fucking $60, and they would have instantly tempered their expectations, and you wouldn't have anywhere near the hate that you have now. But instead, you put this out as a full product. There's so many ways to go about doing this. I agree with the delay. I mean, again, we shouldn't have had a date, and that is a big one. Like, we should have never had a date back in April. Like, That
Yeah.
we shouldn't have had a date until 2 weeks ago, and it should have been like a year from now. So that being said, we should have never had a date. But if we had a date, yeah, delay it or put it in a beta, man. Like, and then you have like that. I wouldn't be half as mad if you said we're releasing it now. You can pay for it, but it's broken, and we're gonna fix it as we go. I mean, just be honest with us. Like, that's my problem here. It's not even like that the game's broken. Just be honest with us. Stop lying to us and telling us you're giving us the moon or a mansion when all you're doing is giving us a roof over our heads. And that frustrates me. But
Yeah.
all right, let's go ahead and move on to probably something just as miserable.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so with that out of the way, let's do some odds and ends. We were going to do another talking point, but that one ran a little bit long, and our other talking point kind of sucked anyway. So we are just going to go to odds and ends and hopefully find something a little bit more fun in here. I actually only have 2. I thought I had 3, but I don't. So why don't you start us off there, Neil?
All right. Well, I got 2 of them that are kind of cyberpunk-ish related to
Okay.
go back down that that
Great.
hole.
Glad we're not done with that yet.
Yeah. Well, I'll just start with the first one here. I guess Cyberpunk is apparently going to be the new Crisis because from what I understand, you can't even run Cyberpunk at 4K max with ray tracing on an RTX 3090.
I'm going to tell you right now, I had to really dumb down the graphic stuff. And my card isn't the juggernaut, but it's not bad, and I had to dumb it down to make it work. So yeah, that thing is ridiculous.
Yeah. What do you got?
So Switch Pro is not a thing, according to Doug Bowser. He was interviewed about it and basically asked directly about it, and he was like, we're looking at other avenues, and we're looking to make stuff for the hardware that we have available right now. And I'm paraphrasing, but basically he kind of shut down the Switch Pro, the long-rumored Switch Pro, that there isn't a Switch Pro in the making after all.
Yeah. Well, that actually kind of goes a little bit into one of my other ones. I'm just going to segue right off of that.
Nice.
I think it was in the same interview as well. Doug Bowser was also asked why all the Mario stuff was limited time.
Oh,
and
I did not see that.
Yeah, they asked him why it was all limited time, and they just said it's a celebration of Mario for his 35th anniversary, which doesn't mean anything, especially given the fact that the original Fire Emblem is also available for purchase on the eShop for its anniversary, apparently, but they also gave it the same exact excuse. It's a celebration of Fire Emblem. Okay, I feel like there's something to all of this. I almost wonder if that might be like a new strategy that Nintendo is going to implement, is they're just going to make stuff that people really want or never got, but are just going to make it all limited time for some unknown reason to drive sales.
Yeah, I don't understand what this metric is, but Nintendo's a shady company. I've said it before. They sold cardboard to kids for $100 a pop. So I think that I wouldn't put anything past them. I mean, I definitely enjoy the Switch. I think it's probably the most enjoyable system they've had in a long time. And I think a lot of the stuff they do is good, but yeah, this limited time stuff is garbage. And I really want an explanation for that beyond we're just celebrating it. That doesn't, you don't release games for a celebration. You release them indefinitely.
Right.
So what is this? Is this like the Nintendo Mini, where we're gonna wait 7 months until people are desperate to find it and then release it again?
Right.
So
what's your other one?
My other one is Twitch just got even harder lockdown on harassment stuff.
Which
and
is
this one's really weird because they have
it is.
decided to ban simp, virgin, and incel. I got, you know what? I'm going to show my age here for a second, Neil. I'm going to show it, and maybe you are a little bit younger than me, so maybe you know what this means. What the fuck is an incel?
I have no idea.
Ah, shit. I was hoping you know. Is INCEL. I really want to know what a fucking incel is. Anybody out there, if you know what an incel is, please comment it below. I want to know what it is. Like, I've never heard
What
of
if you're
that
just
word.
like saying like the worst slur
I mean,
ever?
I might be, but like, I hope anybody who listens to this show can infer that I don't know what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm glad we're not on Twitch, that's for sure.
Well, the absolute weirdest part about all of that is they're not enforcing that until I think it's January or February.
Okay.
So until then, those words are totally fine. So
That is weird.
I don't understand why you're gonna come down hard on like slurs and like hate speech and stuff like that, but give it a time frame, like so people can realize that maybe
Right.
this is wrong, and like give them a timeout or something. Or
It's like the purge. Like, get it all out now.
right, like that makes zero sense to me at all. Completely.
I do have a couple of problems here. Like, simp, I can understand how that could be construed as a epithet for a mentally handicapped person, you know? So I kind of get that one. I obviously do not know what incel is, but virgin is almost a technical term. Like, if I was on a Twitch stream and I was a virgin, that means I can't say I'm a virgin? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's not...
Yeah, but I don't
like,
know.
you see what I'm saying? Like, I understand, like, it's bad to call someone a virgin as an insult, but, like, I mean, it's still a thing. It's not like, it's not like you can't completely get rid of that word because it's a thing. Like, there are plenty of people who haven't had sex yet. Like, that's what that means. It just means a person who hasn't had sex yet. So, like, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, actually, I had a conversation before about another word too in that regard, and
Okay.
I don't want to get into it here because
Uh-oh.
it's really bad.
YouTube's
but
all
basically,
right. They're not going to come after us. It's not in the first minute. We can say whatever we want.
no, it's fine. I'll tell you between segments. But basically, it is a word that sounds really bad.
Okay.
Given its connotation,
Okay.
but it's actually something that you do with dough. So you might know what I'm talking about at this point, but if not, I'll inform you between. But like, it's actually a thing that you have to do with dough when you're baking sometimes.
Right.
So it's like, it sounds horrible,
Yeah.
but no, it's actually like a thing. So
Well, there's that's like the version of there's like the N word, right?
yes.
But then there's I can't believe I'm actually afraid to say the right word.
No,
but there's
I know
the
what
N word
you're-
with an LY, and it just means, oh, he didn't give anybody any money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it has nothing to do with race whatsoever. So it's tricky. It's a real tricky situation with these bands, and the virgin thing is, I don't know, that I felt like when I saw that, I was like, that's just a person who hasn't had sex. How is that even an insult? Like, I couldn't imagine like being heartbroken about being called a virgin. like I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm gonna steer us away from this.
Okay,
Just
all
to
right.
get us off of this.
Saltines.
Yeah. So Halo fans are actually petitioning to get the Xbox One version of Halo Infinite canceled because they don't want the game held back with the previous hardware generation, citing Cyberpunk 2077 as a prime example for their case.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Okay.
I mean,
I want to hear what you want to
honestly-
say, but
I would totally support this, even though I don't have a Series X, and who knows if it can run on my laptop or not. It probably could at dumbed down settings, but I agree with the idea because I don't know, like the idea of having a new generation, but we're gonna make these games across generations for 3 years. I mean, back in the day, it used to be 6 months to a year that you would get cross generation releases.
Yeah,
What in
but
the world?
it's a different world right now. Like the
Yeah.
problem with that is that these systems are becoming PCs, and PCs can do that. And the reason PCs can do that is what we talked about at the top of the show, where you just change your settings. So like that's I don't think that that's necessarily going to hold these consoles back because the Series X is basically a PC. Like it's like one step from PC. It's like the link between consoles to PC. And I think that like you're at this level where like it's going to be a setting change. And I do want to say though, what's stupid about this is Halo Infinite and Cyberpunk 2077 were not being made for next gen. Next gen did not hold them back in any way, shape, or form. There was no next gen. Okay, there was no next gen when these games went into development. That's the problem. That's the problem that everybody should be mad at. It has nothing to do with the next gen holdback or whatever. These games suck on the direct platform that they were made for. One of them, it can't even come out on that platform. Like, that's the problem here. These games were not held back by the next gen. They were pieces of shit, and they're using that as an excuse because the next gen is coming out at the right time, at the same time. Like, these games weren't ever considered for next gen in the beginning. It wasn't even a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally am of the mindset, especially given what we have seen already, unless the game runs exactly like we saw in that demo back in July, if it runs like that on a regular Xbox, then maybe. But I think they said it was running on PC.
It was running on a PC for that demo.
So, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, again, we fall back into that same, like, who knows? I mean,
I think they should cancel it because it looks like a shitty game. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it has anything to do. Just like Cyberpunk, I don't think it has anything to do with next gen versus old gen. These guys were supposed to be making it for the current gen. These games were in development for last gen platforms. That's how long these things have been in development. The reason Halo Infinite should be canceled is because on a PC it looks like shit, and it was being made for Xbox One. Like, fucking wrap your head around that.
Well, they're not. I'm not saying have them cancel it outright. They want to cancel the Xbox One version of the game.
I mean, that's not going to make it better, is what I'm saying. Like, it's not even remotely going to make it better.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, too, like, it has not been released yet. So, I mean, that throws it in a different space than, you know. But at the same time, we, again, goes back to everything that happened with Cyberpunk. You know, they originally thought that what they showed us in July for Halo Infinite was going to be ready to go this year. Right. And now it's been pushed back into holiday 2021.
And it's not coming out in 2021 either. I promise you.
I honestly, I don't think so either. And it's just like, what was it? Like, you just saw the backlash and like, oh crap, we got to push it again. I mean, I think could very well be shaping up to be another Cyberpunk situation. But I mean, that if it does, it's more than just a developer on the line at that point. It's an entire platform on the line at that point. And that's a totally different thing.
I don't think that this is going to end up coming out for current gen consoles. I just don't see not. That. I think it's going to be too far. Yeah, previous gen. I don't. Well, I'm saying current gen because you can't get your hands on the new one.
That's true.
But I think that it's going to be too far in the development, and at some point they're going to be like, it's not coming out for Xbox One because nobody's going to care. But so I don't think this is going to be a concern. I think these people should be much more concerned that this game was being made for Xbox One and doesn't even work on a PC. I think that should be the concern for everybody, really, in my opinion.
Well, while we are still talking about Halo,
okay.
December 2021, the servers for all of the Xbox 360 Halo games are going to go offline.
Yeah, I heard.
Sad face.
That. Yeah. Yeah,
an
end of
inevitable
era.
death. But I hope we get another story about. Remember when the Halo 2 for the original Xbox servers went down?
Mm-hmm.
Where there was a rogue group of like 12 people who stayed online because they can't shut the servers down in the middle of the
Right.
game like that.
Right.
So I wonder if we're going to have a same sort of situation across multiple games. I
I
hope so.
I hope so too. I think you got to wonder. I'm kind of surprised that they've had enough people playing it to even warrant there still being a servers, especially with like these games are all available on this gen console. You know what I mean? Like these gen consoles. Like I'm kind of surprised that the 360 players are still rocking those 360 games. You know?
At the same time, though, when they gave away Halo Reach for Xbox 360 with gold, I think it was like a year or two ago, I had reinstalled it and I was like, I want to go back to the multiplayer on it because I love the multiplayer for Reach.
Right.
And
I mean, how
I went in to do the multiplayer matchmaking. There was nobody. I
Oh.
tried matchmaking for like about 20 minutes, half hour, and I timed out every single time.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, maybe it's time then. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably time. So I got one more,
Okay.
and this is a fun one.
Let's do it.
I don't know if you've seen this or not.
right.
So a member of the Space Force, which sounds dumb enough to say on its own, you know, the actual other branch of our military.
Yes. Space Force.
Yes, the
Space Force!
A member of the Space Force was reprimanded and demoted for skipping his fitness training to try to get a PlayStation 5. His superior messaged him to remind him to get to training, and he responded with, quote, YOLO, PS5, greater than symbol, letters of discipline. Which was in his write-up on file with the government.
Oh, that's great. That's the best part is that that's in the write-up somewhere in a government file. Like,
Yes.
that the word YOLO is in a reprimand somewhere in a government building. Just that literally brings a smile. Like, that warms the cockles of my heart. Like, seriously.
But that's all I got for 2 weeks worth of stuff. I mean, there was a lot of other stuff that happened, but I mean, it's not even timely anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's a lot of Cyberpunk stuff, too, and I'm kind of done talking about them.
yeah,
for
I
maybe
kind
the
of skipped over
foreseeable
some of it
future.
and tried to roll it in together with the conversation.
A lot of Cyberpunk shit. You guys did a bad thing. A bad thing. All right. So, you want to do Horrible Arena, man?
Sure.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
That brings us to the moment of truth, the main event, the moment you've all been waiting for. The Horrible Arena. What is the Horrible Arena if you have never listened to the show? Well, first of all, you should listen to the show more. Please. We want to make money on this one day. The Horrible Arena is where myself and Neil, we get to pitch you guys a video game. We base this video game on pre-existing criteria that if we have a guest, the guest picks, or we take turns choosing week by week. We will pitch you the title of the game, the developer of the game, and what the game is based on that pre-existing criteria. And then you guys get to go to all the places and decide which you'd spend your hard-earned money on if you had to choose. The quantum coin has been tossed. Neil gets to go first, and the pre-existing criteria from 2 weeks ago was a game based on Monopoly, the board game. So, Neil, take it away, buddy.
All right. So my game is going to be Monopoly RTS, and it's going to be done by Blizzard. So this is going to be a game of Monopoly that would fuse traditional Monopoly elements with an RTS sort of component to it. So the game could be played solo against AI players or against others up to 4 people total. The game would start traditionally with everybody having $15,000 or $1,500. Sorry, that's a ball and ass way to start Monopoly. $1,500. And on each player's turn, they would roll die on a number generator and move the spaces. So upon landing on a space, they'd be given the option to go ahead and buy the property that they landed on if they desired, if it was unowned. Well, after all the players go in a turn, all owned properties would generate the amount of rent that they have on that property for their owners, even if nobody lands on them. So on your turn, you can invest in your property to either bump up its overall value, the money it generates, or its financial reserves that are treated as a sort of defense. Now, the financial reserve comes into play when an opponent lands on your space. And at that point, they can choose to attempt a hostile takeover or like an attack of that property that you own, using any of the properties that they own. They can use this to basically attack your property and try to attempt to turn it over, but the values used will devalue the overall worth of all of the properties involved. So, like, as an example, if you want to take over a property that's worth $2,000 in the reserve to fight off the attack, you could use, let's say, 3 properties, one at $1,000 worth of worth and 2 other properties at 500 to enact that takeover. You would then gain that property, but all properties involved would then be valued at 0. So they could easily be taken over, as in their reserves are exhausted, their energy, so to speak, would be exhausted. However, you can choose to attack over that amount if you are able to. So let's say you want to use 2,500 worth to attack something that is only worth $2,000. At that point, you are physically attacking the player and their bank, a la somewhat like Yu-Gi-Oh!, if anyone's ever played Going After Life Points. The object of the game is to completely bankrupt the other players and take over all their shit. So this is where the overall value can come in. You can sell your properties to generate more cash in your own, or you can leverage trades like you do in the game, only you can leverage trades as a sort of shield if you so want, or to gain any other aspect that you want to. Let's say somebody wants to attack you, but they want another property that you have that's worth less. If it behooves their strategy, you can say, hey, instead of attacking me, I'll just give you this property over here, signing off and cutting a deal so that nobody does anything. There's just a property that changes hands. So there's also going to be like chance and community chest spaces still available on this board. And if somebody lands on them, they can offer anything up to like bonus cash for your defenses or value multipliers to your properties, or can be used to just straight up and down stop attacks. The game would really play homage to the real Monopoly and the idea of a Monopoly. While it's got that RTS gamey element, it's more so like a corporate strategy, take over everything and own all the things sort of game. Pretty much like the board game is too. So that's my pitch.
That is really interesting, man. I like that pitch. I really do. I really do.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, I really thought that was really cool and original. All right. So it's my turn. So my Monopoly would be... Oh, wait. What was your developer?
Blizzard.
Blizzard, that's right. Okay, all right. All right. My Monopoly would be called Monopoly Advanced, and it would be developed by Ubisoft, if for no other reason than Monopoly is already developed by Ubisoft as a video game, period. And what I'm doing is not anything too different. And let me explain what I'm doing. And first, with a little disclaimer, I really thought about this. There was a lot of ideas circling through my head. One of the scrapped ones was a GTA-style game, which it was all of the like locations from the board game, and you played the Monopoly Man.
My God, I am so glad you didn't fucking do that, because that was my other idea.
Really?
No
Oh,
lie.
that's awesome.
I was scheming a way for it to be like I think if I'm remembering correctly, Monopoly is based off of Atlantic City.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it would be like GTA Atlantic City.
Right. So I did scrap that, and because I really wanted to think about what Monopoly is, and I've played a lot of it since my wife loves it. and what I think it should be and what could make it better. So here's the biggest problem with Monopoly, in my opinion, is in a lot of ways it's a solved game. And what a solved board game is a game that has a strategy that you can do every time and win. Monopoly can't actually be solved because of the randomicity of the game. However, the strategy is very basic. Move, buy as much as you can in the beginning, build the hotels on the places where your person is about to move, and then sell those hotels to buy more hotels in front of them. Like it's a very straightforward strategy that you kind of have to follow. There's not a lot of ways to go at this other than that. So what I would want out of the Monopoly, and that's why I got Monopoly Advanced, is we would take Monopoly and we would add more complex systems that simulated real-life real estate and property development a little bit more, not too much. So here's what you would do. First of all, there wouldn't be a banker, so to speak, and a regular amount of money that can be doled out in any way, shape, or form. Instead, the amount of money that can be earned from going around the board, as well as other things, will be generated procedurally. And they will be generated in what's called years. A year will take place every time the last person passes the go marker, however they may do that. Once that happens, the procedural generation changes the specifications of that year. So this can affect you in a lot of ways. First of all, this can affect you by how much money you make when you pass go. It can also affect how much money each different property makes. What I'm saying about that is, in Monopoly, you have properties that are very cheap and they're never expensive, and you have properties that are very expensive that are never cheap. Now, these properties would still share, this one's more valuable, this one's less valuable, but the less valuable ones can actually go up through like processes of gentrification. The other properties can go down because of natural disasters that occur or bad happenings. Maybe they're hit by a pandemic, something like that. So the game would actually generate procedural like situations that would kind of simulate living in life more, that would actually change how the board reacts to you each round. In addition to that, I would add something called unions, and this would be the really interesting thing because there's no real way to be offensive in Monopoly. Monopoly, you buy up properties and you hope your opponent lands on them. There's no way to really sabotage your opponent. There's no way to really like do that corporate espionage. So the union aspect that would be added to this is you would have 4 unions that can be used in the game at any one time. Now, you have to pick a union when you're building buildings. Now, if you want to sabotage somebody else, like say they're using a different union to build their buildings, you want to sabotage their buildings being made, what you can do is you can pay a certain amount to the union, get them on your side, and then like maybe make an agreement to them where you would stay with them for a certain number of years, and then all the properties that your opponent built with that union are devalued because they've been sabotaged. So you can actually like control like almost like the mob kind of element of union stuff when it comes to like building properties. You can kind of like trick them in and get really underhanded, which is really what Monopoly is about, being underhanded in business, and actually like attack people's properties. So that guy's building up properties. He's got too many properties. You can buy his union out from under him and actually ruin his day. The amount that you'd have to pay the union to sabotage them and stick with you would go up with how much properties are actually being spent for that other player. So there is kind of a limit to that. So you can actually attack certain players, center out attacks on certain players, and actually reduce like their hotel and house amounts. In addition to this procedural generated situations each round, I think what it would do is take that base Monopoly experience and make it so much more in depth and give you so many more strategies and kind of random occurrences that you would have to deal with in the moment that would make it a lot more interesting in the moment-to-moment gameplay. Because if I can think of anything I don't like about Monopoly is after about the first 5 turns, I know if my wife's going to win or I am. So like in this situation, you'd never really know because those situations could come up and destroy your properties. Somebody could buy a union out from under you or force them against you. Stuff like that just kind of adds that extra interesting experience to Monopoly. So that's my pitch. Monopoly Advance. You've got Monopoly RTS, 2 amazing Monopoly pitches in my opinion. What are you guys going to vote for? We'll tell you all the places in a second, but I think it is my turn to pick a game, correct?
Yes.
Oh, this is tough. I am going to go with an oldie but a goodie, licensed product. Your game must be licensed material.
Oh man, I just had a knee-jerk reaction
Yeah.
to do like a Cheetos game,
Oh,
but like I was like, wait, that's actually already been a thing, and
It
it's
has.
like they've already got like mascot games.
they do.
So I don't know if I'm gonna go dumb with it or if I'm gonna like actually like try and do a real thing. So let's see.
I have two amazing ideas to pick from, and I don't know which to choose, honestly. So, all right. Well, there you guys go. We'll be right back with the plugs.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, everybody. That brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that it brings. Neil, you got anything specific to plug? Bear in mind, you've already mentioned your terrible talk at least
I was just
3
about
times.
to say, I actually am not even going to touch that one because I always feel like whenever it's like, I just don't shut up about it. It's like commercials for elections in battleground states. It's all you hear about coming up to it. And I just don't want to be that guy. I try to not be that guy, but I always wind up being that guy. So I'm not going to mention the fact that my terrible talk is coming out soon and you guys should be ready for it. I actually am just going to take this opportunity because this is actually going to be the last episode that goes up before Christmas. But, you know, I hope everybody has had a good holiday or will have a good holiday, depending on what holiday you celebrate. And I wish the same for you too, sir.
Thanks, man. I wish the same for you. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. As far as I'm concerned, you can see everything this channel has to offer, and it's a lot, in my opinion. You can check us out on Facebook at OhManGamingDH, on Twitter at OhManGaming9. You can join our Discord. The link will be in the description below, and you can influence this and all of our shows from there. And, you know, as usual, you guys keep watching. You guys keep listening. We will keep making it. See you guys next week.
Pizza's good.
Pizza's amazing. Come on, what's your favorite pizza place?
Oh, Jesus. I don't even know. Like, there's, like, I low-key like Marco's, but, like, also, like, I'm cool with Domino's at the same time. But there's also Westgate Pizza and Coca's Pizza over here. And, like, Coca's Pizza has some crazy shit. They've got, like, cheeseburger taco pizza and like all like that good stuff, and like I just want to smear it all over my face.
Yeah, I people usually laugh at my favorite pizza place because it's the cheapest pizza there is out there, but my favorite pizza place is Little Caesars.
Bro, you can taste the savings.
Little Caesars, contact us. We want to do sponsors for you.
Right?
No,
Like, I actually do. We don't, weirdly enough, the closest Little Caesars to us here is like 15-20 minutes away. It's really weird. Yeah, it's strange.
I don't know what it is about Little Caesars. They have this Italian cheese bread that's amazing, and they have just this perfect cheese to dough ratio. The dough itself isn't overtly seasoned. It's just dough. It's like brilliance in its simplicity somehow. And like every time I tell somebody that, they're like, "What? That's like garbage pizza." I'm like, "I know." My wife gets so mad because like anytime we get, she's not a huge pizza fan to start with, but it'll be like when we get on to pizza, she's like, "Where do you want to go?" And I was like, "Little Caesars," and she's like, "Whoa."
But it's hot and ready when you want it, and it's only $5.
Yes, keep
for
it
a
up.
whole pizza.
Keep it up, baby. That's what I do. Pizza.